Hello Live players, welcome to the channel. My name is Camalange, and if you've been tuning into my recent uploads, you'll notice that I put out a Kiara deck profile as well as a Korone deck profile. Today, I'm joined by my good friend Lexycon, who's going to be playing the Kiara deck, and I'll be piloting the Korone deck. You're going to see those decks in action, and how they play and our thought process behind the deck, as well as some of the cards that we chose. Now, the deck lists you're going to see in this video are slightly different from the ones in the videos I just recently uploaded, so I will put the deck codes in the description of this video as well for those. But for context, I'm testing out sub PC in my Korone deck. I'll be taking out 2 cards to make room for the sub PC. I believe I took out a copy of Stone Axe and one other card, but you'll be able to see the list after this video. And then for Lexy, I accidentally referenced the wrong results image, and I used someone else's deck named Evan, who's also a great local player, but it is different from her list. So she's going to be playing a modified version of that list, and I will put her most recent build in the description as well. Those are all the fun things you need to know. I think this is a pretty difficult matchup for Korone, not impossible, but when you're playing against someone like Lexy, who knows Kiara very well, it can feel impossible. We're going to do our best. We're going to see how it goes. We'll see if I draw well and if Lexy bricks, or if Lexy gets everything she needs and takes me out in like 3 turns. So with that said, I would like to introduce my good friend Lexycon. Hello, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello Cam. So that was a great intro. I will say the only real difference between my deck and the one you posted is that I use 2 fewer Kiara holomens. I think I can still hit the damage ranges, and the little extra utility I can get from a few more support cards has helped me. But it is a subjective thing. Everyone make sure to tune your decks based on how you like to play the game.
Absolutely, I think that's good advice. That's what's like one of the many interesting factors of deck building is if you just net deck, you're not really understanding what's going into their thought process building the deck, like what things they're countering for, all that interesting stuff. And also it can really vary based on just like what tournament you're going to. Your locals might have players playing certain decks and certain builds, so you want to adapt your list for certain matchups, things like that. I think with any deck list, it's a really great starting point. Like, feel free to just copy these decks and play them as they are, and then just, yeah, adjust it as you play more and more, and you'll kind of see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and that's kind of the fun of card games. Am I right?
Yeah, card games.
Okay, well, any other thoughts before we get into the match?
I think I'm about ready to roll for who goes first.
Perfect, let's do it. We're gonna do a high rolls, and we'll be rolling 2 dice.
So I got a 7.
Okay, I'm gonna use my Fauna dice catcher.
Sarah's Fauna hololive English Promise?
That's right, the one and only. I got 7 also.
All right, let's re-roll.
It's gonna be one of these games.
I got 7 again.
Oh my goodness. I got 7 again! Off to a good start.
All right, third roll. Come on. 6.
Oh, I got 7. Can you believe it? Yeah, 6, 7. Hey. Sorry, everybody. Okay, well, I will go first then, which is great because in this matchup, if I don't go first, it is almost impossible. So that works out.
Kiara is very good going first.
Yes, yes, Kiara's very strong.
She can set the tempo really quickly. All right, so I'm gonna draw 7 cards.
As am I. So yes, we each draw 7 cards, and then if we don't like our hand, we get a free mulligan. Otherwise, we will be able to, if you take a free mulligan and you don't have a debut, you have to take another mulligan, and the new mulligan rule is officially in effect now, as of recording this video. Monday, I think, was when it went live. So the new mulligan rule is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's, you still draw 7 cards, but for each time you had to take a mulligan, you choose that many cards from your hand and you put them at the bottom of the deck. Is that correct?
After setup. That is correct.
Yeah,
but one thing
setup.
You're forgetting that's different,
yes,
is that you have to reveal your hand after your first mulligan, which means you actually can't mulligan again if you have a debut in your hand.
Yes, that is correct.
So that's a big change.
Yes. Okay, I think I will keep my hand.
Yep, I'm also ready to keep my hand.
It's maybe not my favorite deck, my favorite hand for this deck, but there are more debuts than I usually draw. So I think with Korone, I really like prioritizing setting up my board with as many Korones as possible. So at the risk of taking a mulligan and losing these debuts, I'm just going to play them out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Live start.
Live start.
All right. Live start.
Let's go.
Good luck. Have fun.
Live start.
I'm going first, so I will draw a card for turn, and I will take a cheer for turn, which is going to go on my... Now, this is always the fun decision with Kiara, is Kiara's actually not, like, super strong turn 1. It's not like going into Kanata, where she can easily get a turn 1 knockout. So I could put the cheer on my center, and start trying to power up something to go into the next turn. And I think I will, because there is a first bloom Korone that when she attacks, it's the boxing style one, when she attacks you get cheer ramp. So I think I'm going to try to plan for that to happen. And I'm going to play a normal PC to grab a debut from my deck and put it on the board. Which is also nice because I top decked the normal PC, so now I've got a really healthy amount of debuts on the board. So we're going to grab another of the unlimited Korone. I'd rather grab the unlimited in this matchup because since I already have a good amount of debuts to start, I don't really need the collab effect, which lets me search for another gamer's debut. So, also at the cost of a cheer, I think I'd rather hold on to my cheer. I feel comfortable with the amount of debuts I already have, so we're going to focus on the higher HP Korone, especially since Kiara dishes a lot of damage when she wants to. And with all that, that's all I can do for my turn. I cannot play any limited cards from hand. I cannot bloom. So what I can do, though, is I can choose to collab, which I will, before I end my turn. So I'll collab with one Holo Power, bring up this one, because I don't have any way to activate this collab effect without a cheer on it. And like I said, the 120 is pretty tanky, so I feel pretty safe putting her in that position. And with that said, I will end my turn and pass it to you, Lexy.
Awesome. So I got a pretty good start. What you want to see is an extra debut and the collab debut Kiwawa's Magic. If you have those two, that's usually a good start. An ideal start also has your Chloe debut or a normal PC, so you can get your Chloe debut early. Because getting your cheer early can make a big difference. But it's not the end of the world because Kiara second still needs 3 cheers, so you're pretty safe as long as your center doesn't get knocked out. So to start the turn, I'm gonna draw a card and I'm going to send a cheer. And in this case, I do like to put the cheer in the center because, it'll depend on if you have first in your hand or not. If you want to do the front or the back. Usually, I think it's safe to put your cheer in the front, in my experience.
I'll also add in this matchup
somewhat.
especially, Korone is not hitting big in the early turns. So it's a pretty safe move to just have your center Kiara powered up.
Yes. And then I'm already making an order of operations decision. So I will say, because I'm going to play it, I'm going to reveal that I do have a Nodoka in my hand.
There she is.
However, because I have this Kiwawa's Magic, which is a guaranteed search, it is better to thin my deck first before playing the Nodoka. So I will do the collab right now, send the Holo Power. And I do need to discard a card to activate her collab effect. Now, if you have a second in hand, it is usually safe to discard it. Because you can't play it, if you can't play a card, you can discard it. That's my motto for this kind of thing. And especially with Kiara, because her Phoenix Tail ability gets it right back, it is good to have at least one second Kiara in your discard. So I'm going to put her here sideways so that I can later count out my Holomens when it comes up. And now I get to search for a Kotori.
My favorite
there it is
card
at the bottom
in the whole
of the
game.
deck. All right, and I'm gonna do a quick shuffle here. Very Very nice. Put that back. Now, here's something I learned recently, is I tended to put my Kotori, to attach my Kotori early on turn 1, because it helps keep your Kiaras alive. But I think it's actually much better to keep it in hand until you need to use it, until you can bloom your debut Kiara to get the card in hand, because it is much worse to lose it early than it is to have a higher chance of keeping your center holomem alive. That's my strategy for this. So I'm gonna keep this in my hand, and then I'm going to play Nodoka to draw 3 cards.
Yeah, and unlike your holomem that Kiara can bring back, this deck doesn't have a way to bring Kotori back from the discard pile.
That's exactly right. So it's very important to conserve your tools and your mascots. Now, after drawing 3 cards, I do have more debuts. I will play 1 more Kiara, but I will make sure to keep 1 back slot open for when I draw Chloe or a normal PC. But I do like having my bench full of Kiaras because her bloom effects are so powerful. No matter how much life you have left, always try and get your debuts on your field as much as you can. Now I can't play anything else, so all you can do is do either 20 or 40 damage with my Kikiriki if I just decide to discard a card. Now, I have plenty of Kiaras in my hand, so in this case, I think it is safe to discard 1 card from my hand. In this case, it's going to be this Kiara Idol Bloom. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it's safe to discard her is the Idol Bloom is actually better in the late game compared to the early game, in my opinion, because there's less variance on the cards you're going to draw from the top of your deck to add to your hand. So if you use your Idol Blooms too early, you might accidentally discard key resources. So that's why I like to put her in the discard, because she's going to go back in the deck anyway later on.
Exactly. Yeah, makes sense.
So by discarding that, I get to do 40 damage to my opponent's center.
Going for the center.
Yep, I'm going for the center because there's cheer on it. Usually with Korone, I do like to attack the collab position once Korone is set up. But we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, it's usually better to attack the one that has cheer on it so you can remove resources from your opponent's board.
Makes sense.
And that's my turn.
Wonderful. So now we're in the reset phase, so I will reset my collab Korone. She's resting. I draw a card. I bloom for turn. So that is going to go on the center Korone here. And looking at my hand, I fortunately do have firsts. I don't have any seconds in hand, nor do I have a way to search them, but I do have our good friend Nodoka. I don't have any other cards in hand that let me thin out my deck, so I will just play Nodoka as is to draw 3 and hope I hit something good. 1, 2, 3. Great. And I will also play a sub PC that I just drew, because that's not a limited card, and it can help me look for a limited that might be valuable, especially something like an amazing PC, which I run 2 copies of, which lets me find my second blooms if I don't already have it in hand, things like that. So let's go look at the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look, wouldn't you know it, I happen to hit a limited copy of Amazing PC. Now, the rest of my cards go to the bottom of the deck in any order. So that was pretty solid. We got some good draws off the Nodoka. We got a hit on the search, which will essentially guarantee me a second bloom Korone or any first that I may need. And as I mentioned previously, I am going to use the boxing style Korone because I want to get that cheer ramp from her. She has 150 HP, currently 110 because of the 40 damage, so she's probably okay for a bit. But with Kiara, there's definitely a possibility that it could get knocked out next turn, but we want the ramp, so that's fine. And we will go ahead and we're gonna collab because we want that collab power. And we're not really worried about any double knockouts here, so I will collab with this one, and I'm gonna bloom it right away so I get the extra HP since I'm not using its collab effect. And I played my limited. I've done pretty much everything I can for turn. So now I will attack. I will attack your center. I think in the Kiara matchup, you're really just worried about that second bloom coming out, and especially with I know that Lexy has a Kotori in hand, so that's going to be doing damage reduction by 10 once that hits the board. So any little extra damage I can get on a Kiara with cheer on it is going to be more beneficial to me than targeting the clap position. So I will put 30 on your center, and that gives me the effect from my attack, which is send the top card of my cheer deck to a holoman with #gamers. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Let's see. I think we'll put it on the collab position one, since she's already at a first. And that could be helpful later in the game, even though I won't be able to collab with her again next turn. I do have 2 holo power though, so if I really wanted to, next turn I could use my Oshi skill with Korone to pay 2 holo power and unrest one of my holomem. So that's something Lexy has to think about as well. Even if I'm collabing with someone, she has to consider the fact that I could unrest them and use them again the following turn. So that's one of the stronger aspects of Korone. In addition to being a 6-life Oshi, she can be difficult to remove from the board. But with all that said, the last comment I'll make before I end my turn is just this Korone, the boxing style, has the gift effect where my center Korone cannot have its HP reduced by abilities. Not really relevant in this matchup, but just putting it out there that there is sometimes a benefit to collabing and having that one there. But that's everything I can do, so I end my turn.
I will note that I think you could have attacked with your debut Korone if you didn't bloom her after attaching a cheer with your first attacker. But I don't know if that would have made much of a difference, and you would have been left with a low HP Korone on the collab position.
Yeah, definitely an option. I think, and to kind of explain that further, the way like the sequence would work is because you get the cheer off of this attack, it would resolve during your performance step. So I could have used this attack if I wanted to. I personally decided to prioritize kind of the safety, and also I really want to have more first blooms. I could have bloomed a back one and then done that still. You can kind of afford to make risky moves like that because you're a 6-life Oshi, but I decided not to take that risk, and I prefer to just get my walls up and start building up some cheer.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I'm going to draw for a turn, and I'm going to attach a cheer. I am going to attach a cheer to center, even though it is damaged, and I'm doing this because I know that I have a first in hand. If I didn't have a Kiara first in hand, I would probably choose to cheer in the back instead in this position, just because if I can't get the momentum going right away, I will need to... Oh, I forgot to reset also the resting Kiara. So if you don't have your momentum in your hand, it's better to kind of play a little bit safer and set up your backline instead. But I'm in a position where I think I can get a second bloom next turn, so I am comfortable with putting cheer in my front line. So now I will attach my Kotori that I got last turn onto my center Kiara. And I will bloom her into the Phoenix first. Wow. So this is the card that makes the deck. The Happy Time Bloom effect is very good.
Yeah.
Here's a little piece of optimization for all you Kiara players out there. Because the Kotori and the bloom effect resolve at the same time, you can actually choose the order in which you resolve them. And it is better to resolve the bloom effect first. So you're thinning your deck, and then you're drawing a card. So you're not drawing a Kiara that you might not want in your hand. Now, here comes another important decision for Kiara players. Which Kiaras do you send to your archive with the bloom effect? What I like to do is I only play one copy of this Knight Kiara, and because she's really good going first on turn 3 if you have Chloe in your hand. You can send her back, and then you can do a lot of damage really early on. But otherwise, because she doesn't have a bloom effect, I don't like to have her in the deck. I just want to have her in the archive so I can get her if I need her for a clutch knockout. But because her moment has passed, I'm safe to just put her in the archive right now. So that's my first one that I like to do. Now the second one, I always like to have at least one second Kiara in my archive so that I can get it back with Phoenix Tail. In this case, I already have a second in the archive, so I don't need to send another one, and that ups my chances of actually drawing one, so I don't need to spend my holo power later. So instead, since my board is fully set up, I will send 1, 2, and 3 extra debut Kiaras, as well as my Knight first Kiara, into my archive. And this is because my board is set up. I don't want to draw any more debut Kiaras. I'd rather draw something else instead. So there they go in the holomem pile. And now before I can draw with Kotori, I do need to shuffle the deck. It's very important. Order of operations. So I'm shuffling. Now, of course, when I'm piloting this Kiara deck, I'm speaking from my own experience, but if you see a misplay, let me know in the comments. I'm always trying to improve from my games, seeing misplays. But yeah, for all I know,
we suck.
I'm a crazy person. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, YouTuber, play better. Just draw better
now
cards.
that I've done that, now that I shuffled, I can draw a card from Kotori. Very nice. Let's see. Now, here's a somewhat risky move. I do have a idol first in hand, another one. So using her early is risky because you could put support cards that you want in your discard. In this case, though, because I just drew a manager-chan with my Kotori, I think it's worth trying to empty my hand before putting it back in the deck. So I think it's worth playing the idol first here. Another thing to note with the idol first is when you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, I'm going to reveal them all because they all get revealed anyway.
Oh my god.
You can choose to put them all in the archive. You don't have to add one to your hand. In this case, even though I am going to be playing Manager-chan later, I do want to grab a Phoenix Kiara and add it to my hand because I can bloom her right now and thin my deck even more. So even though it is kind of sad to lose another Phoenix Kiara, it's not a huge deal because Kiaras in the archive are going to come back anyway. So now again, I do have Manager in the hand, but before I do that, I do want to bloom. There we go. And now since I already thought through with what I was going to discard with my first Phoenix Kiara, you have to think a little bit less about which Kiaras you send to the archive after that. I do still like keeping my seconds in the deck so that I can more likely draw into them and not have to use holo power. So in this case, because it's early game, I'm going to start discarding my idol firsts. That's 1. I don't need another debut Kiara. So that's 3. And there's 1 is already in the archive. So the only thing I have left is I can either discard a Phoenix or a second. In this case, because it's still early game, I think I would rather discard a second Kiara than the Phoenix because the Phoenix is going to bring a lot more utility if I can draw into it in the future. So it's a little bit awkward, but it shouldn't be a big deal because next turn I'll have enough holo power to guarantee get a second Kiara from the archive. Alright, so I shuffled. I'm going to put these cards
A lot
in
of
my
shuffling
archive.
in this deck.
Yes, yes. And sometimes you'll see emergent plays as you keep drawing cards and getting materials.
Yep.
So now I have 3 cards in hand, and I'm going to play the manager. So I'm going to shuffle. I'll just reveal my hand just for the sake of the players. So I do have a Chloe first in hand, so you'd think, oh, maybe I should keep it in case I draw into a debut Chloe. But here's the thing, if you can't play it, put it back in the deck. That's the way you should play these cards. Because if it's in your hand, it's not doing anything. If it's in the deck, you can draw it when you need it. You'd rather have cards you can play in your hand right now than cards you might play in the future. So I'm shuffling them all back into the deck. And now I'm gonna draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Now I'm much
Okay.
more nervous that she's going to hit a debut Chloe, because that is something I don't like to see on Kiara's board.
So you're in luck. I don't have any more cards I can play this turn.
Okay. Phew.
So now it's time to collab. Now, early on, it's still safe to collab. In this case, I don't really need to collab right now exactly because I can't do my second bloom even if I have 2 holo power right now. But because I want to make sure that I have enough stock to use my my SP skill, I do like to collab early game anyway, especially if it's still safe. So I'm gonna collab with my higher HP Kiara right now. Simply because I don't have the cheer to attack with anything else. So there's the 2 holo power. This Kiara does have 2 cheer attached, so she can hit for 50 in the center.
Okay, so that's going to put me at 90. There we go. I take the 50 damage. And I believe that's the end of your turn.
Yep, that's the end of my turn.
Okay, so I reset. Draw. Cheer. Even though the HP on this Korone is low, I am going to put it here because I have somehow been actually finding my second Korones this game, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and bloom into my second. Now, one of the weird things about this position in the game is Lexy doesn't have any seconds on her board, and I don't get the secondary effect of her attack, where I can do an extra 50 damage, because it only works if there's a second bloom that I'm attacking. But I believe the math was still correct, because I put 30 on the center, so that is a 140 HP first, down to 110 HP because of the 30, and with Kotori, there's a minus 10 reduction. So my base 120 attack is just enough to knock out that center. So that getting that 30 on the center ended up being a good call. And looking at my hand, I also have another Nodoka. I don't have any other ways to thin out the deck without playing another limited, so I'm just going to go ahead and get more cards in hand. So 1, 2, 3. I did hit another Korone, which is fantastic. But what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to keep 1 Korone in hand because I do run 1 copy of custom PC in the deck. So if I happen to hit that, I can exchange that debut later for a first Korone that isn't a buzz, but there's no buzz Korones. And I drew a normal PC, so that gets me an extra debut on the board that I want, and I can still keep the one that I have in my hand where it is. Now at this point in the game, I have 2 cards holo powered, so since I play normal PC, I am going to use this opportunity to look through my deck and see what cards are still remaining. To be honest, I'm not like super thorough. I mostly look for cards I know that I only run like 1 or 2 copies of, and I see how many are left in the deck. And then if most of my cards are there, I'm not super worried about what's in my holo power. So in that sense, I'm going to just take a quick inventory of what I've got, and I will shuffle. You know, I think with Korone, the things that you really want to track are like, how many second blooms are in my deck? Do I still have a second amazing PC in my deck? So that if I need to find Korone later, or my Futo Inu's still in the deck. Just like her really core cards that are essential. You want to make sure you still are working with those. So I've shuffled. I played my limited for turn. Now, I could choose to collab here if I wanted to, just to get the holo power. I think I might, because my debuts are pretty tanky with the 120, and I like getting more holo power, especially because with Korone, my center Korone is pretty weak at the moment. It took 90 damage. And if I have 3 holo power, I can use my SP Oshi skill, which would let me save one of the cheers attached to her, and then I can also keep one of the cards in the stack. So I think that's going to be pretty valuable, so I will go ahead and do a collab to get my holo power. Now, if you really wanted to, I guess you could, if you're like really particular about looking through what's in your holo power, you could have maybe sequenced it differently so that you could collab and then normal PC and, you know, see what card you just holo powered. But I don't, at this point in the game, it's not really a big deal to me. And now I will, I do have another first Korone in hand. I'm going to go ahead and bloom it. I prefer to play this Korone later in the game. I'm only currently running 2 copies, but it is in the clap position, and I like the extra HP. Plus, I want to guarantee that I can set up more second Korones. So I think any first blooms I can get right now is worth it. And this is going to wake up next turn, so even if this rests, I still have a first that I can promote if she gets knocked out. So with all that said, I will go ahead and attack your center Kiara for 120, minus 10 from Kotori, 110 damage, just enough for the knockout.
Yep, that is enough for the knockout. And that's a pretty bad situation for me. Because that is definitely a misplay that I did, because I knew that Cam had the amazing PC in hand. So if I had remembered, if I knew the matchup better and I knew exactly how much damage the Korone second can do, I would have known that I actually couldn't survive the hit at that point. So in that case, I wouldn't, especially without a Chloe on the board, I would have probably attached the cheer somewhere else. But that's, you gotta roll with the punches. That's not a huge deal. I'm gonna put my holomems here and my non-holomems here. And I'm going to take a life. Now, I do have enough holo power to use my SP skill right now, which would maybe be a good move because I'm already behind on life and now I'm not set up to get a knockout next turn necessarily. And I don't have a Chloe. But because I already have a lot of holomems in my archive, I'm gonna not use the SP skill because it wouldn't really be that beneficial for me to keep the Phoenix first in hand, since I do have plenty of firsts on the field right now. So I'm gonna attach my life cheer to this idol actually I'm gonna attach it to this debut Kiara in the back. And I'm doing that because I have a play in mind that I will explain once it's actually my turn.
Nice. And I think now it is your turn. We can enter the reset phase.
Okay, so I will reset phase. This holomem is not tired anymore. This one is tired, and I have to choose someone to promote to center. In this case, this is a little bit of a risky play. But because I don't have Chloe on the field, and I don't really want to use up my first Kiaras, because they can be built up into a second later on, I am going to promote this debut Kiara to the center. And we'll see if that works out. That might be a misplay, let me know in the comments. But for now,
I love the comments.
Yep, I think it's worth keeping my first safe in the back.
I think that's a reasonable decision, especially because like even though you, like you said, you're technically at a deficit right now, Kiara is like a pseudo 6-life Oshi, and you know, you have so many ways to get cards back. So if you're able to just establish your board and build up the back, Korone doesn't really have a way to, you know, I don't have like special damage that I'm spreading on the bench, and I don't, spoilers, I don't run enemy or anything like that in this deck, because Korone's not really, her attacking isn't like her big game plan. She's more defense oriented. So Lexy's pretty safe to just power up the back, and there's not really much I can do about it.
So, now that the reset phase is done, I am going to draw a card, and then I am going to cheer. Attach a cheer. Now... Okay, so based on my hand, I think it's better to attach this cheer to this idle Kiara. Just because she's not resting. Usually I would put it on the resting Kiara because she has more HP, but because I have a plan on a collab play I want to do, I'm going to attach it to here. Okay, so now I can start my turn. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to collab immediately with this collab Kiara. Now I'm going to slightly reveal my hand here, because this is I'm going to explain. So usually you want to keep your Chloe's in hand, but because I do have 3 in hand, and Kiara second sends any Holomem back to the deck, it is safe to send a first Chloe to the archive. So don't be afraid to send your Ramper to the archive. You can only really play 1 per turn, and as I have said a few times, if you can't play it, don't keep it in your hand. So now that I discarded a Holomem, I can get a Kotori right from the bottom of the deck, and I'm going to shuffle. Shuffling.
Every turn she's shuffling.
Now before I touch this Kotori, I will reveal I don't have any Kiara firsts in the hand, so this is a risky play.
Okay.
So the play is that you want to collab with that to get your Kotori, and this is for card advantage, but right now I'm risking. But I'm willing to take this risk because I do have a Nodoka in my hand. So I do get to play the Nodoka and get another chance at getting a Kiara first. And you know what? I just realized I've been misplaying because all of my Kiara firsts are in my archive except for 1.
Oh. You only have 1 left in the deck?
Yes, there's only 1 Phoenix Kiara that I left in the deck. So this whole gamble was actually a mistake the whole time, if you can believe that.
We live and we learn.
Yep, we live and we learn. This is the kind of thing, it's pretty rare to start with 2 Phoenix Kiaras in your hand. You do need to be mindful of your resources, and I haven't been mindful of my resources because usually by now, by turn 3, I'm able to get a Kiara second. But you know what? I also just remembered that it's not a misplay because I have 2 beautiful Holo Power right here.
All according to plan.
Yes.
Oh my god, 2 Stone Axe though?
Yep.
In the
so
Holo Power?
This is kind of bad. Not a great position to be in. But usually, even in this matchup, because Korone is kind of tanky, but even in this matchup, Kiara does tend to have enough damage to get knockouts anyway.
That's true, but the Stone Axe Kotori combo is like the thing I'm always terrified of. So I also just happen to know that unless you changed it, Lexy only runs 3 Stone Axe.
Yes, so there is only 1 Stone Axe left, but that's okay.
And that gives me a sense of relief.
In this case, because I have so many Holomems in the archive already, I don't need to fish out another idle Kiara. I don't really need that much card advantage right now, especially because most of my deck is support cards right now. I don't want to get an idle first and risk discarding my last axe. Yeah. So I will get this from the archive with Kiara's Oshi skill Phoenix Tail. I will add it to the hand, and then I will attach a Kotori here, and I will bloom her. And that lets me draw a card. And that's kind of nice, because the card I drew was a Chloe debut. And I already showed the audience that I do have plenty of Chloes in the hand.
Yeah.
So this is great to see. Especially because that means next turn I am, even if Cameron doesn't knock out my debut Kiara, or either of my Kiaras, I will have enough cheer to have a Kiara second online. Now this is unlikely. Cameron is definitely going to be able to knock out one of my holomims in the front, but that's alright. It's not a huge deal. So since I already played a supporter this turn, I don't have any other cards in my hand that I can play. So I will just simply choose to do 50 damage. And in this case, because I know I'm going to have a Kiara second online next turn, I don't need to do any more damage to the Korone in the center. So I'm going to instead do damage to the Korone in the collab position, because I already know I can knock out the center Korone next turn.
Smart.
If I want to.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's
So
my turn.
we go into reset. So she wakes up. This one will get rested. I will draw for turn. We will cheer. And I'm going to put the cheer on the boxing style Korone. And I'm going to consider collabing with her so I can get more cheer ramp. But before I do any of that, looking at my hand, I have been blessed with second Korones. This is like a first for me. So I am definitely going to at least bloom this Korone with the damage on it so that I can get that extra HP. And I think, honestly, while I'm considering not blooming this one because of the extra cheer ramp, I think I'm in a good enough position where I could just bloom to guarantee that I have two Korones set up, and then I can go into it, because basically what I'm thinking is I have two Mane-chans in hand, which is kind of awkward, but I do have the amazing PC in here, and so if I Mane, I risk, not having another second bloom and not having a way to search it. But I haven't used my SP, and that guarantees me if I want, I can return this one to the stack. So I think I actually think the smart play here is to play the long game and build up ramp, because I still have 6 life. So I'm gonna not bloom this one for now, and I think I'd rather get more firsts, because that's like the really upsetting thing with this deck is if you only have once you fall behind on that race, and I know the second bloom Korone's coming, the second bloom Kiara's coming, I want to make sure I have resources ready. So I might take the gamble here and just manage her and see what a new fresh set of cards looks like for me. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to do it. This is what I had in hand. Normally I would keep a hand like this, but because I happen to have all that holo power and already 2 second blooms established, I'd rather try to find some firsts. Especially the 200 HP first bloom Korone, which I haven't seen at all yet in my hand this game. So we're gonna shuffle. Draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I did happen to hit one of those tanky Korones, which is great. And I actually hit a custom PC and a debut Korone, which is pretty great because that's exactly what I wanted to get more first. So I can shuffle that debut back into the deck after searching out my first. I'm going to put down the other Daki Korone in my deck. And before I shuffle, just for the shits and giggles, we're going to play normal PC as well. So I'm just going to do both of those searches. So that way, now I have a completely full board, but this is a mono Korone deck, so like I'm not like saving space for any other holomem anyway. And like I said, I think having more Korone on the board is always better. So I am just going to play the normal PC. It also thins out my deck a bit so that I can hopefully find my other seconds or my amazing PC more easily. So now we will shuffle after having played those cards. And I would say that was a very successful manager. I basically played everything in hand except for one card. I still have one card in hand. Let's see, looking at the board, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to collab. So it puts me at 4 holo power. I'm going to bring up the first Korone here. And the collab Kiara has a cheer on it, and Kotori. And I think I would like to prioritize getting rid of that, because the debut Kiara in the center is not much of a threat to me. But a Kotori Kiara is. So, she currently has 120 with minus 10 damage reduction, so the center Korone is not enough to knock it out by herself, but I have the boxing style Korone. So, I will go ahead and attack the collab Kiara with my boxing style Korone for 30. I will send the top cheer of my deck to another Korone. So even though I have the second back here, it does have damage on it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that resource on one of my tankier Daki Korones. And then I will finish the job with my center Korone for 110 damage to the collab Kiara.
All right, and that is a knockout. Now, this, by the way, this decision making that Cameron made, this was another reason why it's sometimes okay to put a debut out, even if you think it could get knocked out next turn. And that's because you can still kind of force your opponent to use up the resources to take out one of your more threatening holomems. And in this case, I do like having more cards in the archive, so hitting the first is not a huge deal for me. I do lose some resources, but it's not a big deal. And now I still have a debut Kiara that can activate the Kotori effect. Now, because I have a Chloe on the field, I do prefer to spread my life a little bit when I take it, if I know I can have a fully set up card later. And that's just for my own thing, so I remember that there is more than one card on the field, I guess. It's easier to make decisions when your cheer is spread a little bit between all your holomems.
That is true.
As long as you have a line to get the cheer you need to one of your holomems in the end. So is that the end of your turn?
Yes, let's go reset.
Okay, reset phase. You aren't tired anymore. So now I am in a little bit of trouble because my center Kiara is still a debut. This does mean that I will have to be collabing with my second Kiaras, which isn't ideal, but I think I can still make it work pretty well because I showed you on camera before, I do have a lot of Chloes, so I should be able to get more than one second Kiara set up pretty smoothly. So let's start with that. I will begin by attaching a Kotori to this Kiara. And I'm doing it to this Kiara because if she gets revenge killed later, I would rather put that back in the discard so she can activate her effect again instead of the idle first. So I put the Kotori on her, and then I will bloom her, and because her bloom level went up, I do get to draw another card, which is wonderful. Now, I did just draw a normal piece even, and that's something that I think I want to use right away. Not only to thin the deck, but also because it's a kind of a unique opportunity to get another Chloe out on the field.
Nice.
Which will make it even easier to set up the second Kiaras later on, which is pretty needed. Usually you don't really need it, but because I am so far behind on lives right now, it is worth doing it. So I'm shuffling. Alright, and my deck is pretty thin. Another thing to consider, make sure you're not decking out with your Kiara decks.
Yeah.
That's also another reason why I prefer to run fewer Kiaras. Okay, so now I can bloom. Well, I forgot to attach the cheer for turn as well. I was gonna do that. That's part of it. Remember to do your order of operations correctly. That's my cheer for turn. She was on the field, so it's not a big deal. But now I can bloom the Chloe first and get 3 cheer onto this Kiara.
And technically, the way Chloe works is you look at the top 3 and then choose one. But we don't. We both know each other, and I know it's a mono cheer deck, so we don't bother with that step. But just if you're watching and you're not familiar with the first bloom Chloe, you technically have to look at the top 3 cards of your cheer deck, choose one, attach it, and then put the rest, I think, at the bottom of the cheer deck. Or do you shuffle it?
It goes to the bottom of the cheer deck.
Okay, got it. So there you go. Just for context for anyone new.
And here's another little optimization play for the people at home. I'm going to reveal that I do have another second Kiara in my hand. However, because I don't have another Kotori, and because Kiara first bloom effects are so good, it is usually better to only bloom your Kiara second when you need her, when you know you're going to attack with her, so that you still have the freedom to bloom as many firsts as you need onto other firsts. And that just keeps your options open in the future. Okay. So now I'm going to collab with this Kiara. Here we go. Put that in the collab position. Okay, here we go. So keeping in mind that this is a Phoenix under here, this is a good situation for me to decide if I want to get a first to bloom this debut Kiara, or if I want to keep the Holo Power so that I can save a life if she gets knocked out. And then I can still play that. That's going to come back to my hand, and then I could play that on the debut Kiara next turn. So in this case, while it may be advantageous to bloom this Kiara right now so that she can maybe attack later, because most of my holomems are in the discard, there isn't much advantage gained from blooming her right now. So instead, I would rather do that after this Kiara attacks and sends holomems back into the deck. All right, so I'm going into the performance phase.
Quick question.
Now here's
just because I
considerations.
forget, because I've been listening, but I might have missed this. Did you draw a card off of the Kotori when you bloomed?
Yes,
Okay.
It was a normal PC that I used to draw.
Yes, okay,
Chloe.
got it. Great.
Okay, so now that I'm in the performance phase, here's a consideration for the Korone matchup. So this is something I kind of learned after losing badly to a Korone at a tournament, is that the Korone second does expend resources when it attacks. So in this case, it doesn't matter right now, but something to consider: if your opponent's center is a Korone second that has already archived its first, it's sometimes better to not attack that one, because then they're going to have a much harder time knocking you out instead of sending in a fresh Korone that has all its resources. In this case, the Korone still has her resources attached, so it is better to just knock her out, especially because she has some damage on her. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my Majestic Phoenix, and just
that is such
for
a
the
thick
sake
archive that you're going to be hitting me for like 300 damage or something.
Yeah, so it starts at 80, so we're at 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, 230, and 240 damage.
Insane.
Through the center. And this is why I prefer running fewer Kiaras. I was kind of in a tighter spot earlier in the match because I had put all my Kiaras in the archive. But you can usually do plenty of damage even when you run slightly fewer Kiaras. It's just a little harder to play around. But that's up to your discretion. Now, as far as which 6 Holomans to send back, if I have a Chloe in the archive, I always send it back. Because that's just cheer ramp. Now, because I have 2 seconds in the archive and you can only take 1 out per turn, I do like to put a second back in the deck. And because my backline is pretty bad, pretty empty right now, I do like to put some debuts back as well. And of course, we want the Phoenix Kiara. In this case, I don't have that much room, so I'm going to do 2 of the debuts and 2 of the Phoenixes. Depending on your board state, you might want to send more debuts back so that it can come back out on the field. But in this case, these are the 6 that I'm sending back. Yeah, so you can see. All right.
Makes sense, and that's going to be a knockout on my center.
Yep.
So what I am going to, I have 4 Hollow Power, so I'm going to go ahead and use my SP. Because I do not have another second in hand, and this second already has damage on it, so I think I'd rather keep this one. So I'll use SP skill to keep one of the Korones in the stack to my hand, so I'm going to put the second. These 2 go to the archive, and I get to reattach one of these cheer to one of my other yellow Holomem. It doesn't even technically have to be Korone. So I'm going to put one on this Daki Korone that I've been slowly building up, and then I lose a life from the knockout. And the gift effect of the second bloom is that you get to send the top card of your cheer deck to your Korone. So I get a ton of cheer off of that. So even though I got a knockout, I'm not too upset about it because now I have all of these cards to play with. So I'm going to put this is where it's like, you know, embarrassment of riches of like where I want to spread this, because now I have the second bloom in hand. I have this second, but has no cheer on it. But I could put these 2 here and then get the Hollow Power draw for turn. And I could collab with it to use it to attack. But I think I would rather use the I think I'd rather not collab because there's only 1 second Kiara at the moment. So I'm not trying to push super hard just yet, I don't think. We'll see how I feel once I start my turn. But for now, we're going to do it that way. I'll burn the 3 Hollow Power necessary to make that play. I just lost 2 debut Korones and an amazing PC. The 2 Korones is fine. Losing an amazing PC is a bit of a bummer. But that's okay. As assuming the other one isn't in the Hollow Power, I still have 1 left in the deck. And now for my reset phase, this one will wake up. I'm going to promote the fresh Korone, and this one will get rested. So now I will draw for turn, cheer for turn, and I think I'm going to put that on the other first Korone here, and I'll explain why in a moment. I will bloom this other debut Korone in the bench, and I've got a nice board of a bunch of first Korones that are raring to go. I still have the second in hand from the SP Oshi skill, so we will bloom the center Korone. And now, I'm down to 1 holo power, which is fine, because I've already used my SP. So really from this point on, I can only be using my infinite stamina for 2 holo power. Currently, if I attack the collab Kiara, it has 200 HP with Kotori, so it's more like a 210. So even if I remove the first on this Korone, I'm going to be attacking for 170 total, minus 10. So I'll be doing 160. So it's not going to be enough, but I do have a stone axe in hand, which is great. So we can put the stone axe on her, which gives me the plus 20. And then I did put a cheer on one of my first bloom Korones, which is pretty safe to collab with because it's got that 200 wall. Kiara can get over that pretty easily, so it's not like amazing, but whatever. So we'll collab, get the second holo power, and then I'll easily be able to infinite stamina next turn if I would like. So now I think that should be like just enough if I am not stupid. So now I will go into performance to remove one of these first blooms to get the plus 50 boost to a second. So that is 170 plus 20 is 190 minus 10 is 180. No, I'm 10 short. Man, that's rough. I'm 10 short. Because
how much damage
right?
does
I think because this is 30. So minus 10 is 20.
And 180 plus 20 is 200.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes, it works out. Yes. Okay, phew, I thought I was 10 off for a second. Okay, that is just enough to get through the Kotori Kiara, so I will attack with both of them to your collab position.
All right. So in this situation, even though I do still have 3 life left, I think it is worth it to use my SP skill to save a life. This is because I am behind on tempo, and I would like to have this Kiara Phoenix back in my hand. So I am still going to lose these resources, but I'm not going to lose a life. And I'm going to have more cards in my hand to play, and I have already plenty of holomems in the archive still, so it shouldn't be a big deal. So I will use the SP skill, and I will spend 2 holo power, and they're draw cards. At least it's not an X, but it's still not exactly what I want to see, but that's alright. So yeah, use the SP skill, which means I don't lose a life. So now that's the reset phase.
Yep.
And now I get to draw a card, and I get to cheer. Let me see. In this situation, I am going to send a cheer to doesn't matter too much. I'm gonna do that. And another reason why I decided to use my SP skill, even though I might look behind on cheer, is because I do have 2 Chloes in play, which means I can still get 2 cheer this turn.
Yes.
Even without getting a life cheer.
Getting that second Chloe down was very helpful.
So, first things first, it's usually better to draw more cards before you make other play decisions. So I will play this Mikkorone 24. I will draw 2, and then I will roll a die. And that's a 5, which means I get to search for a debut card to add to the hand. Now, you don't have to play it with Mikkorone, but I'm probably going to play it. Because it's important to have a lot of Kiaras on the field. So I'm going to get that out on the field. And I get to look at my deck real quick. Not that it matters because there isn't anything in the hollow power. But I'm gonna shuffle my thin deck. Very nice.
It's crazy how Kiara goes through a deck.
And then I'm gonna play one more debut Kiara. So now my bench is full. Okay. So now I'm going to play 2 Chloes. So I'm going to attach both shears here. Which might be a little bit risky because it does mean that this attacker is going to rest next turn, whereas if I put my center isn't ready to attack yet, so doesn't matter too much. Now I would, and this isn't an ideal situation because usually you'd want to get another Kotori if you can, but in this case I really have to be on the offensive or I'm gonna be behind on life for the rest of the game. Even without a Kotori, I'm going to bloom here, just so I'm ready to attack. And it may seem a little counterintuitive, but oh no, wait, because the other Kiaras just came in, so they can't bloom. Now I am going to bloom here, even though she can't attack, and that's because I don't have currently enough to hit a 200 in the archive. So I am going to go through.
Yes, and I should. I took 10 from the stone axe on my Korone. I forgot to put the die down, but yes, she is at 200.
And you're at 4 life left, right?
5.
All right, because you're 6 life, Holloman.
Yep.
My bad.
All good.
Okay, so I do have exactly 4 Kiaras left in the deck. In this case, because I know I'm going to attack with Majestic Phoenix, I don't mind putting them all in the archive. And I'll just shuffle later because Majestic Phoenix is going to make me shuffle. Oh no, I do need to shuffle now because of Hollow Power. So right now in my deck, there's just one
Oh my god.
Chloe first left and a few supports.
Crazy.
So there's a pretty good chance that my last axe is going to go to the Hollow Power, but it shouldn't matter too much. So, okay. Okay, so now I'm going to collab with this Kiara. Put a Hollow Power down. So this is the part where I was talking about. The Korone in the center right now has exhausted her resource, which means she can't get plus 50, which means it's going to be much harder to knock out my second Kiara this turn. But if I knock out that second, the other second is going to come up, which does have the resource. So in this case, it is much better to attack the collab position Korone. So right now I do 80, 90, 100, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's the 200. 220, which is enough to knock out the body pillow Korone. And my field is full, so I don't need to put debuts back right now. So instead I'm going to be putting a lot of Kiara first back. So there's 3 Phoenixes, and specifically the Bloom Effect ones. So all those Kiara firsts are going back in. I do still like to keep a second in the archive, so I can use Phoenix Tail if I need to. But in this late game, you're very likely to get what you want out of the deck, because your deck is going to be so thin. So there you go.
Very nice. So that is a knockout on my collab. I lose a life. And I'm going to put that on the second bloom on the back. And then we will go into reset phase, so I will draw a card. Cheer. And I have to decide, because there's that Kiara in the collab position. As Lexy said, my Korone has expended its first bloom to get that extra 50 damage. I do have a stone axe on it still, so I can swing for 140. And I don't have to worry about Kotori, but I do 140 and I need an extra 60, which is a bit of an awkward number for Korone, because most of her other arts don't really hit that high unless I have the idle Korone, which I currently don't. So I think if I want to get rid of that Kiara this turn, I have to collab with the second bloom, which honestly isn't that bad, because I don't need to spend its first bloom to be able to do enough damage, because if they both just do their base damage, it's fine. And I have infinite stamina, so I could always bring this collab back next turn, but I do risk it dying because it has 50 damage on it. But given that the second Kiara is on the board, I think this is what we need to do. And then we will reset. Should have done that before my draw and everything, but you know how it is. This is where things start to get a little awkward for Korone. I've been very lucky so far this game, I think. I only have 2 cards in hand right now. I don't have anything that's going to let me draw more cards or search more cards, so I'm working with what's on the board. I do have a debut Korone in hand, which I'm considering benching, so I can give myself options to bloom later. And I do have a first Korone in hand. I could save this first to, bloom this later. But I'm also honestly considering just blooming this first, because then I have more resources on it, which I'm going to do that, because then if I get a second bloom Korone on it, I can use that effect twice with that Korone. So I spent my hand, which is not a great feeling. I will be top decking from now on, but my board's in a pretty strong position, so I think despite that, it is worth it. So I will collab, putting me at 3 hollow power, and then I will bring up the second bloom Korone, and I will be directing both of my Korones at the collab Kiara for knockout, and then I take 10 damage on my center from Stone Axe.
Okay, do you need to archive from your... Probably not, right? Because
no.
It's only 200. Yeah, you don't need to.
They're both doing... This one's doing 140 and this is 120.
Okay, yep.
So I'm safe.
So there goes that Kiara. Now I will say, after I attach a life to my center, I will say that Cameron did slightly misplay here. Because Cameron's afraid of me Kiara second and didn't really realize that my back row isn't ready at all.
That's true.
So if he had targeted my center instead, I wouldn't have any attackers next turn. But because he didn't, I will have an attacker next turn in the center. So honestly, I wasn't in a good board state at all because I was late on getting my debut Kiaras on the field, so they couldn't bloom earlier. But now I can still get a knockout this turn.
That's true. That's a good point. The YouTuber fucked up.
But, it's an easy mistake to make. It might not have been terrible anyway, because leaving Kiara alive in the back, I do still have 2 life, so I could have still come back eventually, probably. So maybe it's not the worst misplay in the world, but it does mean I can revenge kill this turn.
Yeah.
So after attaching my life cheer, I'm going to draw a card, and I'm going to cheer. There we go. So now there's 3 cheer on that Kiara. Now, in my discard, I don't have that many Kiaras anymore. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I do need 12 for the knockout. Well, I guess I don't because the Korones are damaged already. So it's not a huge deal. I don't need to do an optimized play. In this case, because I only have 2 life and Korone can kind of attack both slots, it is safer to not... Well, yeah, it's safer to not collab. So I'm going to bloom here for now. And I am going to use my manager. And I'll show the camera my hand just to show you. I guess before I do that, I could play a debut Kiara. Yeah, there's no reason not to. So I'm going to play this manager. In my hand, I have a You're the Enemy and a second Kiara, and I don't really need those this turn, and I would rather have some first Kiaras so that next turn I can still do a revenge kill if this Kiara gets knocked out somehow. So I'm going to put this one in the archive and these in the deck. And I'm gonna shuffle. And the good thing about managers late in the game is you have a very high chance of getting exactly the cards you need because the deck is so thin. And right now I put all of my Kiara firsts back in the deck. So I have a very high chance of getting at least one.
We love the deck manipulation.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Let me readjust my archive for a moment. Okay, so I did get a Chloe, my last Chloe, and I'm gonna play her right now. It's usually better to just play them early. And I'll attach a cheer there. I guess here's a micro piece of tech. I don't know if I should actually do it because it is risky with only 2 life, but I could collab with the Chloe here to get the holo power so that I can get another first from the archive if I need it. And if Cameron decides to target Chloe, that does leave my Kiara alone to be alive. And I get to put these in the archive, which I can then put back in the deck and get more cheer later. So this is a risky play. I think just because it's a YouTube video, I am going to do it, and we'll see if it works out or not.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then the comments can tell me if I'm misplaying or not. But it is a better feeling having 2 holo power there, even though I already used my SP skill.
Do it for the views.
Now, with the manager chan, I did manage to get a Phoenix Kiara first, which I am gonna bloom. And now here's the thing: is that how much damage do I need to do to knock out your collab Korone?
160.
160. So that means I need 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So because I have enough damage in the archive to knock out the Korone that I want to knock out, I'm actually going to underplay the Phoenix. Because that will give me a... Well, actually, no, that doesn't make sense, because I'm sending Holomans back into the... deck anyway. So it doesn't matter. But something to keep in mind with the Phoenix, it is between 1 and 4 that you can send back into the archive. And because the deck is a private zone, you can actually choose 0. You can say, I don't have any Kiaras in the deck, even if it's a lie. Sometimes that comes in handy if you're running out of resources. Like if I didn't have a Kiara second out, but I still wanted to get a first so that I could, have more options for a second bloom. I probably wouldn't be putting Kiaras in the archive this late in the game. But because I am having that, it is worth doing right now.
Also, fun fact, that was a great point you brought up about the deck being information that only you have. That works for other cards that have similar effects. So a common one is normal PC. If you find a debut in your deck and you don't want to play it, you don't have to put a debut on the board. You can just say that you failed to search. And you can just burn the normal PC if you need to thin out your hand. Sometimes that's helpful, like if you just need to get to a certain card count, or you're just trying to thin out cards, and you don't have the debut in deck, or you don't want to play the debut, it's an option. So I think that's a great point to think about with other cards that have similar choice making.
Yep, exactly. So, now that we're in this position, I am going to use Kiara's second attack to knock out your collab Korone second.
And that is a good revenge kill, capitalizing on my misplay, because now I've lost a Korone that has the resource to do more damage without having the chance to have ever used it. So that is a bummer, but I made my decisions, and I will live with them, so I lose a life.
And because my bench is full, I will send back all the firsts again, and I'm running out of Bloom firsts in my archive. So for my last card, I am going to pick a second Kiara just so I can draw into it, theoretically, and not have to use my Holo Power.
Yep. I'm going to put my life cheer on the Daki first Bloom, and I will start my turn. I don't have a collab to reset, so I will draw, and then I will cheer. Now, that misplay may have been very unfortunate for me, honestly, because I also have no cards in hand, so I'm top decking. So losing a second is kind of rough, especially when the only second I have is not able to hit for that extra 50. So it's not ideal. I only have one card in hand for my draw for turn, and it's a spoiler, it is not helping me. I could play it safe and perhaps Baton passes Korone out, but I honestly don't think that's even worth it because it doesn't have the first resource on it. It is hitting for 120, which is helpful. But I think what I would rather do, honestly, is it might be valuable, honestly, for me to hit that Chloe, because I still have 3 life. If I get rid of your Chloe, you'll only have 1 life left, and if I can set up another second, I'm not going to be as worried.
Yeah, it was definitely a bad play to put the Chloe out, because I didn't end up using the Holo Power. So looking back, I did say in the moment that I was kind of doing it for the content. So this is a misplay. Theoretically, it would be better to not collab this turn and instead collab next turn once another second Kiara is out. So you could get a double knockout if Cameron decides to collab right now.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to, but that's just a replay think, I guess.
Yeah, and I think because I only have this 1 second, I'm not going to collab. I would rather, I think I'm just going to take the guaranteed life and hope that I draw better next turn, because I don't want to risk losing the first blooms that I have set up, so I don't want to collab with them right now. So I will just take the guaranteed life and get rid of one of the Chloes. It'll also help reduce the amount of cheer ramp that Lexy will be getting. At least temporarily. So we'll go ahead, we'll do that, and that will be my turn.
So what Cameron said about my cheer ramp is wrong, because all of my Chloe firsts are on the field, so I was out of cheer ramp. So the reason why I did the Chloe collab for the content, even though it was a bad move, was to kind of show off that if you're in a situation where you've used all your Chloes and you have more life than I do, the reason why it was bad for me is because I'm low on life, but you can sacrifice your Chloes and get them back in the archive, because then your Kiara second can put them back in the deck and you can get more cheer later on. Now, how often that's going to come up, I don't really know, but that's a little tech for all you Kiara enjoyers out there to think about.
That is true. I didn't consider the first bloom count. I basically gave you your cheer ramp back. So that's okay.
But it's going to be in a few turns and it's not going to come up because I'm definitely going to lose my last life soon.
I wouldn't say definitely.
Okay.
It's still pretty close because this second Korone is not that strong. And I don't have much to get past that 200 wall. But the 3 life cushion helps.
Yeah. So you do have the 3 life cushion. Another thing is because you already used your SP skill, I'm not as scared of attacking that Korone center, even though it's the only target. Because I know you can't automatically get it back. So you have to draw into another second if you want to revenge kill. And you already used an axe, so you are kind of low on resources. You could collab still to get the final knockout, but that's what we're going to do.
Yep.
Alright, so I drew, and I'm going to cheer here. How much life does that Korone have left?
190.
190. Okay.
Well, actually, sorry, 180, because I did attack, so I take another 10 from the stone axe.
180.
Yeah.
So I do need 10 cards in the archive. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now, the reason why I asked is because there is a possibility of collabing with this Kiara and not needing to shuffle Holomens back into the deck. If I had 2 axes in this situation, I could collab and use Guidance of the Flame twice. So if I had 2 axes and I hadn't holo powered them, I could be doing 90 damage and 90 damage, which would be enough to get a knockout on that Korone second without needing to shuffle Holomens back into the archive, or back into the deck. And because they have the same amount of HP, it would be a fairly safe collab, especially because it's not like I can send her back out afterwards because I only have 1 life left. But in this case, it's not necessary, so I'd rather not send cards into the holo power slot. So what I can do is I can normal PC to get the Chloe back out. No, never mind, because Chloe's still in my archive. That was a little silly of me. I didn't put her back in the deck yet. I'm still gonna just empty my hand, which is fine. I am going to do that Gloom. I look at the top 3 cards and I can add a Holomem to my hand. I am gonna choose the Phoenix Kiara, but I'm not gonna use her, and that's just in case Cameron can't get the knockout this turn. I can still buff up my damage in emergency to get another knockout later. And I'm not too sad about the so you're the enemy going into the archive, because in this case I can usually get a knockout anyway, and it's not like it would be that advantageous right now to knock out a first instead of a second. So now going into the performance phase, I'm going to shuffle all the Chloes back into the deck. And so let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. In this case, I am going to send a couple debuts back. Just because I still like to keep the second out in case I don't draw into a second. And that's going to be enough for the knockout.
Yes, it is. So there goes my center. I do get the gift effect. I can send a cheer to a yellow Holomem, so I'll put 1 there. And then I take a life, putting me down to 2 life. And we will put it on the other first. And I've decided who I want to bring up. I think it's fairly safe to bring up the 200 Korone. But I think no matter who I bring up, though, Lexy's guaranteed a knockout, because there's the second Kiara waiting, and you have the first Kiara in hand to dump more cards. So I don't know how much it matters. I could maybe just promote the boxing style Korone, but I'm not going to, and the reason for that is because this Korone has an extra stack. So I'm gonna preserve that one for a little bit. So now I will reset, draw, cheer, put it on the debut because all my other Korone are good. And I actually got a pretty reasonable top deck. I got the sub PC, and I'm so grateful that I made this change because it seems to be coming in clutch. So I'm going to look at the top 5, and what I'm really hoping to see here is an amazing PC, or a like Nodoka or something, but unfortunately the only limited I found is manager, and I do not have any other cards. And actually no, I have one card left in hand. So I still have a chance. I have a chance. I forgot that I had a debut Korone that I've been holding on to. So I will manager my last remaining card and really hope that I hit the second. I did see the second Korone when I played the sub PC, so that was sad. But I know it's in there, so I at least know that there's not like a holo powered one. So we're gonna shuffle and hope that I shuffled in a great way that lets me keep playing the game. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, I mean, even if I don't get the second, this is still way better because I was really out of cards. I can thank the good Korone doggo for blessing me with the second bloom. And I only need to take 1 life. So, and there's no Kotori. And not only did I hit the second off the manager, I did hit Stone Axe. So I will be able to swing with the... Once I collab, I'd be able to swing for the 170, 190, and then 30 on the first, and that will be enough to take out the center Kiara.
That's correct. That's a good game.
Good game. I got very lucky on that sub PC, finding a manager, and then finding both Axe and the second off the manager. My deck was pretty thin, so I felt pretty good about my odds of hitting the second, but the Stone Axe was kind of that was icing on the cake that I did not expect to receive. But
yeah, and I don't think you even needed the Axe because you're
oh yeah, it would have been exactly 200
Korone.
still. Yeah, because 170, then 30, yeah. So okay, so let's go into post-match analysis. Yes.
So obviously this is card games, so deck variance does mean that a good deck can lose sometimes. Now, on my side, I did make 2 major misplays. Right? So the first one was at the very start of the game, when I lost my first Bloom Kiara that had 2 cheer on it. That really set me back significantly. And that's something that if I had just thought about the matchup, I could have prevented from happening. Because I knew that Cameron had an amazing PC in hand, and theoretically I would also know how much damage Korone second can do. So that was avoidable damage. And then with Kiara, it's very important to try and be in the lead on the life trade. Because even though she does have 200 HP and she's pretty bulky with Kotori, most decks can knock her out when she's out. So really, Kiara's strength is really consistently being able to come back out and revenge knockout. And Kiara wins when the opponent can't put another second out. Because Kiara will always have another second out. That's her strength.
Yeah.
That's why it's really important to be ahead in life advantage. So that's why the first really big misplay was losing a life early and also losing out our resources. And the second misplay, which we talked about in the moment, how it was a misplay, was the collab with the Chloe. I did do it mainly because to show you guys that you can put the Chloe in the archive and then get her back after. And I did have another normal PC in hand, so next turn I could have gotten Chloe out. In the late game, it's not as important, so it's really just a play for demonstration. If I hadn't done that, I would have one more life right now. I probably still would have lost the matchup because I was at a 2-life disadvantage, but in that case, Cameron would have gotten the knockout, and then I could have promoted this Kiara to the center instead and gotten another knockout, and Cameron would have been really struggling for resources at that point.
Yes.
But probably would have still had it because of that first misplay in the beginning of the game. So yeah, if you're playing Kiara, it's really important to know your matchups, know your deck. You might have noticed a few times I was searching for things in the deck that weren't in the deck, and I should have known were in the deck. So just always keep in mind, have 2 Hollow Power out, know what's in your deck, and know your matchups. That's all the advice I can really give.
Resource management with Kiara is pretty tricky too, because you're managing both your deck, your hand, and your archive, and your Hollow Power. So while it's extremely powerful because being able to play with your archive adds so many more dimensions to the deck and gives Kiara a lot more flexibility, you're still getting rid of cards. So you have to be really thoughtful about which cards you're archiving when, which cards you're shuffling back in the deck, and there's a lot of those little decisions that add up over the course of the game. So it can definitely be challenging to manage all those things in addition to your normal, hololive OCG gameplay. So that is the kind of the trade-off, I think, for Kiara. I'll say on my side, there's the main things for me. I think the misplay that you called out, where I took out the center, or no, when I took out the collab second bloom instead of the center, that could have been extremely detrimental, because at that point I had basically burned all my resources. Like I said, I was top decking for a bit there. And I basically, by collabing for that knockout, I gave you a free knockout on one of my second blooms, which never got to use its first bloom stack. So that was definitely a pretty big mistake on my part. Fortunately, I was able to rebound. I got very lucky with that sub PC and the manager, which was able to let me hit the second later on, and I was able to close it out. But if I had top decked, like another debut Korone or something, it would have been a really, really bad position for me, even with the 2-life lead. So that was definitely, I think, a great call out. That's something to be mindful of in this matchup with Korone, is just like, Kiara's going to always come back, and it requires a lot of resources for Korone to actually be able to knock out Kiara, because it is just, Korone's not doing a ton of damage. Kotori with that damage reduction really adds up. So I think I got lucky in a couple ways. One, I won the dice roll and I got to go first, which gives Korone more advantage in setting up and not letting Kiara get a second online before I get a second online, which is huge in this matchup. I think if I had gone second, I probably would have lost. But it's not impossible with Korone. I would say most of our matches, Kiara is prevailing, but it's not impossible. And I think overall, I think we both demonstrated what the decks are capable of. So thank you again, Lexy, for doing this video with me and letting me play against your deck. I had a lot of fun. Lexy, before I fully wrap up this video, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with myself or the audience?
Yes, I wanted to talk for a moment about my deck composition, because I do run 2 fewer Kiara holomems than most net decks out there. And you'll have noticed that throughout our match, even when all my axes were in my holo power, I did not lack resources to get the knockouts that I needed. That's what I mean is it's a little easier to play with more Kiaras, but it's not necessary. And I think the little wiggle room from an extra support card like You're the Enemy can come in handy in some matchups. But that's up to your discretion. I do also want to mention how big of an impact going first or second is for Kiara decks, but also for other matchups. Going first means that you're going to get your second bloom out before the opponent gets a second bloom out, guaranteed. Especially on Kiara decks, it's very easy to get your second bloom as soon as possible. This means you're going to have a much easier getting the first knockout, and once you have the first knockout, you have the life advantage, and the back and forth is going to be in your favor. Whereas if you're going second and you take an early knockout, the back and forth, even if you can revenge kill every single time, you're still going to lose because you're behind on lives. All right, that's all my thoughts.
Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate the words of wisdom. And I think that, going first is definitely advantageous for pretty much every deck. There's definitely ways around it, but it is challenging to kind of be playing already on like the back foot when you're going second, because you know that second bloom is coming faster. So that's maybe another thing to consider as a newer player as well. Like if you are going second, you may want to prioritize building up your back instead of putting everything into the center. So there's a lot of those kind of decisions that happen as soon as a turn order is decided, and it can have an impact on the game. But I think all that advice is great. Would definitely love to have you back on the channel. And if those of you watching enjoyed this gameplay video and you enjoyed us providing insights onto our decision making, let me know in the comments if you want to see more stuff like this. It's kind of a first for the channel where we got this in depth turn by turn on how we play. But I feel like that might be helpful for people who are trying to decide what decks they want to build, or are maybe just getting into competitive and aren't aware of some of the options that you have each turn. So hopefully this was beneficial. And please like the video if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that bell so you don't miss any future uploads. All I do is talk about hololive and the hololive card game. I love these VTubers, so I want to keep making videos for y'all, and I hope you enjoy them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Hi, Cameron.